How are you tonight?
Good. Good to see you.
I was just telling Tom that I think I'll just have the three officers stand right here,
Okay.
unless you got another
I
suggestion.
don't have another
That'll
suggestion. In
work.
fact, I'd like them in front so that we
Okay.
could see them.
And then I'll introduce them to the great thing.
Would you like to do that? Introduce that?
I could do that, yeah.
Would you like to?
So I'll call, if you don't.
Good evening, everyone. I'd like to call this City Council meeting to order. May I have the roll call, please?
Mayor Gotell.
Here.
Councilmember Sandal.
Here.
Councilmember Fitzhenry.
Here.
Councilmember Rogie.
Here.
Councilmember Elliott.
Here.
For the open forum, we have one speaker, Gertrude Ulrich. Will you please come up to the mic and state your name and address? Oh, she's outside. Oh, and everybody can come on in. Would you ask people to come in? There's plenty of seats to sit. Would you come inside? Could you ask them to please come inside and sit? There's seats to the side and to the back and to the front here. Gertrude, we speak right up here at the mic. And can we make sure, Councilmember, that that is on? Thank you.
Yeah, that's
And speak right into the mic so we can hear you. Thanks.
Sorry, I'm not familiar with the processes in this new city hall, and I was helping a former city council person from St. Peter, Minnesota, to show our methods here, and I don't know them myself anymore. Anyway, enough of that. And the reason that I'm here is a member of the League of Women Voters, who has spent many, many, many hours making the process to vote as easy as we possibly could. This has been one of the aims of the State League and the National League of Women Voters ever since we were founded in 1920. And what what we have done in the state of Minnesota has paid off by the fact that we in the state of Minnesota, year after year, turn out the largest number of people who vote in statewide or for the national election. I think it's a record we should be very, very proud of. And it didn't come by accident. We worked hard to get it there. Okay, that's number one. Number two, I have long been a reader of history, and in doing so, I have come to have great respect for our state constitution and our national constitution, and for the people who wrote it. They spent just incredible amounts of time under a lot worse conditions than we have. No air conditioning for one, and not anywhere near the easy modes of transportation we've got today. So these people worked hard and long to establish an excellent constitution for us here in the state of Minnesota. And I, for one, am always very, very reluctant to vote for an amendment. I may have once or twice voted for an amendment in the course of my very long life, but I don't think so. I think I am constitutionally opposed to making a change to a document that I know so many very conscientious, hardworking people have put together, and it has served us well. And then let me speak, part three, as an election judge. I have been an election judge for many, many years, and I had a great privilege of being an election judge at this last contested election between Governor Dayton and Mr. Emmer. There, I was able to hear the people who are interested in election procedures from, well, I was going to say around the nation, but I think it was mostly from the East Coast, speak in very admiring terms of what we have been able to accomplish here in the state of Minnesota. And you read all about them in the paper too, so many, many attorneys from out east coming to observe what we were doing and being very admiring of what we have done.
And can I ask you to wrap your comments up?
Oh, to speed it up? Okay.
We've gotta-
You know, as a former
running
council member, I'm used to speaking all I want to.
I know.
As long as I want to.
know.
Not anymore.
Not anymore, I'm sorry.
Okay, then one of the things that bothers me most about this is my brother, who is a retired Army. In order to get voter identification, since he no longer drives, he had to come up here from New Mexico to the state of Minnesota. Then we had to drive down to Jackson County to the courthouse down there to get his birth certificate. Now, those are the kinds of things people are going to have to go through to get identification, plus all the money. And, you know, for those of us who are opposed to more red tape, certainly this is going to impose more red tape on us. So that winds it up. I have a lot more to say, though.
Yeah. Would you please sign in and you state your name and address for the record? Would you please state that? Gertrude, could you state your name and address for the record into the mic? Yes? I know.
I'm sorry, but I'm supposed to sign this as well?
Yeah, you will do that as well.
Okay, all right. Okay, my name is Gertrude Ulrich, 7024 Oak Grove Boulevard.
Thank you. I appreciate that. We have another speaker this evening, Mary Gover. Again, if you'd state your name and your address when you come up, and then sign before you leave. Thank you.
My name is Mary Gover. I live at 6711 Lakeshore Drive South, the Gramercy Park Cooperative. And I am the longtime St. Peter City Council member to whom I heard Gertrude referring as I came in the door. I am here to follow up on the voter ID amendment topic. There have been questions in the workshop about whether this would prevent fraud. In the close recount election between Senator Franken and Norm Coleman, there were attorneys watching that like hawks. There were attorneys from all over the place, and one of them concluded that after all that, there was no fraud. The only kind of fraud that the voter ID amendment would address is impersonation. And we have no record of anybody impersonating another voter. It's said that the identification required of voters, if this amendment passed, would be free. Most of us in this room probably know that there ain't no such thing as free lunch, and there's not a such thing as free identification either. This would be an unfunded mandate to the cities, and it would not be, the identifications would not be free to voters who need to find documents like birth certificates, as Gertrude has mentioned. So I urge people to go beyond what is almost everyone's first reaction. Hey, right, voter ID, that sounds good. But look much more deeply into the details of this. It's a bad idea to amend, especially it's a bad idea to incorporate such a thing in a constitution. Thank you.
Thanks, and please sign in. Appreciate that. Also, to read into the record, we received a letter from Joe Hoover at 7627 Harriet Avenue regarding the topic of Pillsbury Commons on April 29th, and that was emailed to the council, so we'll just read that in for the record. So, and thank you all for coming tonight. Appreciate that. At this time, I'd like everybody to stand and join us up here for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We have some we have approval, of the minutes of the special joint Richfield Bloomington City Council work session of March 26, 2012, the special City Council HRA Planning Commission work session of April 10, 2012, the special City Council HRA meeting of April 16, 2012, the special City Council HRA Planning Commission work session of April 16, 2012, the special concurrent City Council Richfield School Board work session of April 24th, and the regular City Council meeting of April 24th, 2012. Boy, we've been busy.
So moved.
Second. Any other comments? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? We have some special presentations here. Councilmember Fitzhenry, I'll let you start.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. This is the fun one for me, being a retired officer, and I hope we see these three in another 30 years from now, but we'll introduce our police chief, Todd Sandell, and he'll go ahead with the ceremony for swearing in.
Thank you, Madam Mayor and City Council members. It's with great pleasure tonight we bring before you three of our newest additions to the Richfield Police Department, and I'm going to ask the three of them to stand up here now, and I'm going to give you a brief background on them, and then we're going to have them take the oath of office.
You want to come up and turn around so they can see
Yeah,
out
they see
front?
on camera.
There you go.
Closest to me, we have Orlando Zapata. He may look familiar to many of you because Orlando started with our department as a CSO. Eventually moved on to a police cadet position, and most recently was promoted to a police officer. Orlando's got quite an interesting background. He was born in Bolivia, and that's where his family still resides. And when Orlando lived in Bolivia, he was in the Bolivian Army and reached the rank of second lieutenant. He moved to the United States in 1999, and he met his wife in New York, and love followed him to Minnesota here, and they moved to Minnesota. We're very proud of Orlando and all his accomplishments he's made with the department in his short time, and we're very proud of the fact that Orlando is our first Latino officer and native Spanish-speaking officer. Orlando has with him tonight his wife, his in-laws, and his daughter Gabrielle right over here. So. Next to Orlando, we have Miles Beckner. Miles Beckner was born and raised in Minnesota and graduated from St. Cloud State University. Miles is a veteran. He served in the National Guard and was deployed to Iraq and did a tour of duty in Iraq for our country. In Iraq, Miles was an air traffic controller and had an interesting job as an unmanned aerial drone pilot. Miles, another interesting fact about Miles is his father is a police officer in Santa Barbara, California. Tonight, Miles has with him his mother, his fiance, and numerous friends that are occupying the front row here. And next to Miles, we have Amanda Johnson. Amanda Johnson was born and raised in Albert Lea and graduated from Minnesota State University at Mankato. Prior to coming to Richfield, Amanda worked as a part-time officer both in the city of Henderson and Arlington, Minnesota. Amanda has her parents and her boyfriend with her tonight. So at this time, I'd like to have the three of you face me and raise your right hand. And then repeat after me, please. I state your name. Do solemnly swear to support the Constitution and the laws of the United States. I'll work with you on this one. To support the Constitution and the laws of the United States. And the state of Minnesota. And the charter and ordinances of the city of Richfield. And discharge faithfully these duties devolving upon me. Devolving upon me. As a police officer for the city of Richfield. To the best of my judgment and ability. Congratulations.
And Mayor, I'd just like to add one other thing. I see our police explorers are in the room. You want to stand up if you're back there, the police explorers?
Yeah.
I want to acknowledge them because we got people who want to join exploring and police exploring. I want to let them know we have a post here that's very active. So if you're interested, contact the police department if you're interested in someday coming up here and getting sworn in. So
Thanks. Thanks for being here today. It's very nice. You know, I see a few faces that probably were up here while I was still mayor getting sworn in, so it's kind of cool to see that. We'll give them just a couple minutes here to clear out. We have another presentation regarding National Public Works Week. I believe that we have Director of Public Works.
Mayor, members of the council. National Public Works Week is coming up here, and every year I try to identify one thing that happens in Public Works and kind of highlight it as we come into Public Works Week, and I usually talk about the things that you don't notice, you know, the pipes that are underwater, or under the ground rather, and the streets that get plowed at night that you don't even know that they're operating, and the snow is gone. But this year, the theme for the National Public Works Week is making a lasting impression, and really, it's talking about what you actually see. And I really enjoy the poster this year. It identifies the Golden Gate Bridge, and of course, it carries tens of thousands of cars every day, and yet it's a beautiful structure. And we kind of picked up on that theme, and we had a couple of the folks in our Public Works Department put together a short video using a couple of their kids. It's only 3 minutes. That kind of highlights some of the things that have been happening in Richfield recently that we think has improved the appearance of the city, and would like to just maybe identify that. And maybe in the control room in the back, they can run it, I hope.
Here we go.
All right.
I like how that cues up these days. Isn't this nice? New City Hall.
No running around pushing buttons.
Yeah. And then
It's
it doesn't
not running
work.
yet either. It's not.
It will.
Hey Marshall, did you know that it's Public Works Week again?
No, I didn't, but I remember last year's project, which was super cool.
Yeah, it was cool. That project showed how Public Works delivered essential services to the public. This year's theme is focusing more on the lasting impressions that Public Works projects leave behind.
What's a lasting impression? Like when we put our hands in wet concrete?
No, that's only one way to create a lasting impression. I'm talking about how projects can make quality of life improvements that leave lasting impressions.
So how did that project turn out? Did it leave a lasting impression?
Let's go see for ourselves. So what do you think?
Wow, this is awesome. My parents would totally let me ride my big wheel here.
Yeah, this is way better. Hey, there's our friend Liz. Let's see what she has to say about the project. So what do you think of the project?
Overall, I think the project was a huge success. The residents were very accommodating to the contractor during construction, and the new roadway provides an improved bicycle and pedestrian experience.
What are you hearing from the residents?
I'm hearing all kinds of positive feedback from the residents, how much they're enjoying the new streetscape, as well as we've even received calls from residents who live in other parts of town who would like to see their street redone to reflect this new streetscape.
That's great, but what part of all of this makes for an improved quality of life?
See how the trees and boulevards separate the sidewalk and trail from the street, creating a more comfortable environment for pedestrians and trail users? The on-street bike lane provides dedicated space for more experienced bikers.
Yeah, okay, I'm picking up what you're laying down.
Let's see what people that live around here have to say.
My name is Ann Hockenstead. I'm the pastor here at House of Prayer Lutheran Church.
What do you like about the new streetscape?
People can bike and walk. I see it as a place for people to imagine more being active and talking with their neighbors.
My name is John Frober. I live in Richfield. I've been here for 52 years. I love everything about the city, and I love this new street.
What is your lasting impression of the project?
I hope it lasts forever. Is that lasting enough?
I never looked at public works projects that way before.
That's not the only project these guys have done around here. Check these out.
Thanks, James. That was some cool stuff. I can't wait till we're old enough to work in public works.
Yeah.
Thanks, and we got some more projects on the books I know that you're aware of that I think will make a better, lasting impression about the city of Richfield. So
Are we
thanks.
going to have this up on our website?
Yes.
Okay, that would be great.
Just a little louder, though.
Yeah, it was hard to hear. Yeah, that was great. Thank you. Any comments, council?
Oh, that was great.
That was fun. This is council discussion time. Councilmember Elliott.
Thank you. I know over the past 4 to 6 weeks, we've seen a lot of the Red Bulls return to the state, and it's great how the local media covers it, and you always get the warm fuzzies when you see little kids greeting their dads and their moms coming back. I had a personal pleasure this past weekend over at the Bloomington Armory. My nephew, who lives on 11th Street in Richfield, 11th Avenue in Richfield, is a major in the Red Bulls, in the Judge Advocate Corps, and he came back after a year in Kuwait, keeping him out of trouble with the local authorities. And you know, it adds a special, not incentive, I mean, it's great to see them all come back, but when you have someone that's personal to you gets back healthy and looking good and reunites with all his family, it's just an outstanding feeling, and it makes you even more appreciative of what they're doing and what they've done for us. And so kudos to all of you, and particularly to Matt, who is my favorite major in the Judge Advocate Corps.
That's nice. It's very nice. Councilmember.
I haven't had a lot in a long time, but I got 4 tonight.
Oh,
All right.
good.
First thing, I would like, we had the League of Women Voters up here. We had 2 videos that we saw tonight regarding this issue with a constitutional amendment on voter ID. I'd like to have our staff put that on our website too.
Link to it.
I think both of them were informative, and no matter what side of the argument you are, I think that gives them a basis, something to at least start out, and then go, like we said, fact check for yourself. So, but I think it'd be a good start for everybody.
Great.
Second thing, I got this. You all remember 1984, right?
Oh, sure.
November 29th, specifically. This was a Richfield, or Minneapolis Star and Tribune article about Richfield setting out to achieve goal of being the 21st century dream city. And I just want to read a little bit here. It said there was a forum that was started, and would be just one of many ways the area as a community and part of the chamber we hope to use further to growth of our business community. This was a goal to bring the political and business community together. Tentative outline of the forum had been provided. One key listed in the outline is the establishment of a list of major assets in Richfield. Others include identifying the sacred cows, the political climate, and community divisions. The reason I brought this tonight is as we move forward trying to help redevelop Richfield, I think we need to have that community output again, where we bring in the business community and at least the political community, maybe others, to decide what the vision of Richfield should be. Because we've got the possibility of 3 different developments in Richfield becoming affordable housing, workforce housing, whatever the term that people want to use. Different people are using different terms. And I think we need to get some kind of focus on where we want Richfield to go. And I'm sure that there's going to be people on every possible side of that. But I'd like to see us have a discussion somewhere on what we want to see Richfield become.
Just a quick comment on that.
Sure.
That was the organizational beginning efforts of Richfield Visions.
Right.
I don't know if you knew
Yep.
that. Yeah.
Yes.
So,
Yeah. Oh,
no, regarding that, I think the housing study.
That's a
dovetails
start.
right into there. I think
Yeah.
so, yes, I agree.
But I think our business community needs to get involved, and so we know where they stand on this too. Third thing, I have 2 things that I want to talk about. First of all, we were informed that Mr. Clark had come forward with a new proposal on the 30th of April. Yet, other than that, we weren't notified anything except that last Friday at about 11:35 a.m., I think that's the right posting time, Patch had everything on their website. And I'm just wondering how that happens. I don't know. I didn't get notified of what the plan was. I don't believe the Planning Commission or the HRA did. I know I was called one time by Mr. Clark and asked to talk to him individually, not as a group, and I said I wouldn't do it. I talked to Doris Rubenstein. She said she was contacted last week, or right before this plan was filed with the city, and she told me she refused to do it. I don't know how many members of the HRA or the Planning Commission or the City Council were contacted, but I think that's not appropriate. I know I talked with you, Steve, our city manager, that you did not want to see that happening. So I'm just curious why we haven't found out anything. If that stuff went out on Friday morning, why we didn't get it on Thursday night. I think that would have been more appropriate. And then just wondering what's going on.
Well, let me respond to that, Madam Mayor, members of the City Council. First of all, please be aware, we didn't send anything out to Patch. We did what we've done in the past and what we've said we would do, and mostly to make sure that the people who live in the neighborhood have quick access to what's happening. As soon as we got the information, and I can't give you the exact time, but very, very shortly thereafter, we took all of those materials and loaded them up on the city website so that anybody who wanted to see them would be able to see them, as we've done in the past. So I assume, and I don't see the representative from Patch in the audience, I believe that's probably where she got them from. She probably looked at our city website and got them. I could have reminded people when we got the application that we'd pop it up on the website as we've done before, and you would have had access to the entire piece. All of it's there, the drawings, the letter that goes with it, et cetera. And I would remind everyone in the audience who's looking with respect to that project, again, when things come in, we try to do our very best because it's almost impossible to get the information out to everybody. So the best thing we feel we can do is throw it up on the website. And if you go to our website and click on Community Development Department, it's right on the front of the Community Development page. It's in big letters. In fact, I think Corinne's pulling it up as I sit here right now. Yeah, it's Pillsbury Commons zoning application. Materials April 30th. So it's sitting right on our website, and anybody who wants to look at it in detail can see it there.
Okay, well, I pulled it up on Patch because somebody told me yesterday. Yesterday was the first day I knew that there was anything out there.
You sent us a memo, though. You sent a memo.
Only that he had
They had
filed an
sent.
application.
But the application came in,
Not
and again,
that any packages had been produced for us to see.
well, I didn't repeat it, but we've said it before that as soon as this, because of the people from the Pillsbury Commons neighborhood, that as soon as we get stuff, we put it up on the website for people to take a look at. That's what we've done in the past, that's what we're doing now, and that's what we'll do in the future. And I can easily remind anybody, including city council members, when we get that stuff, that it'll be on the website as quickly as we can load it on. It was up there before Friday, obviously, because I'm sure, again, that's where Patch pulled it from.
Councilmember
Yeah,
Elliott?
unlike Councilmember Rogie and Commissioner Rubenstein, Mr. Clark contacted me also. And I spoke with City Attorney Heine and met with him Friday morning on his way over here to turn it in. It's my belief that he's got the same access to a city council member as any citizen does or anybody else, and Attorney Heine told me that that was correct. So I met with him, I got it on his way over here, and I see nothing wrong with that, and I don't apologize for it.
Yeah, I guess the only concern, no, I did not. My only concern is that we could have a unstructured meeting, right? With
I checked
each.
with Ms. Heine, and she said that wasn't the case.
Is that correct?
If I can address that. This is one of those gray areas where we have issues about people meeting individually with every member of the council. And what I have always said is it is a gray area. The issue that you need to be comfortable with is that the developer, or whoever it is that you're meeting with, whether it's a resident or whether it's an applicant, that they can't be sort of a go-between among a quorum of the council where they meet with you, they present their information, they tell you what the other council members have told them, and then, you know, they kind of relay that in an effort to sort of build a consensus. So when Councilmember Elliott contacted me, I went over that again and reminded him that it's fine for him to meet and hear from an applicant, but he should not allow the person to get engaged in what other council members are telling him or saying, which Councilmember Elliott said he understood and wouldn't do. And I suggested that he should not indicate this is where I'm at on any position, so that the person he's meeting with can't then take that and go tell it to somebody else. So under those circumstances, and I'm totally comfortable with it.
Okay.
The danger is where somebody does, you know, just goes and starts talking, and then they start telling them, well, this is what this council member said, this is what this council member said, and then it just creates potential problems.
Yeah,
I want to make it clear, I was not calling Councilmember Elliott out. I was talking about Mr. Clark going after an individual to talk to. And I have no idea what that would represent, why he would do that when he did it to me back in the day that he pulled his application on April 30th. I said I would not meet with him or talk to him. I said if he wants that to happen, he needed to call you or Steve Devich. He didn't choose to do that. 48 minutes later, he decided to pull his application. And Doris told me when I was talking to her about another issue that I'm going to talk about in a minute, that he had contacted her too. So, Pat, I'm not calling you out at all on that. That wasn't my intent. I was talking about Mr. Clark.
No,
and I don't like that tactic that he was using.
I didn't think you were, but I wanted the constituency to know that I did meet with him. And also, I guess just suffice to say that I'm enough of an adult, and after consulting with Attorney Heine, I'm fairly comfortable in being able to make an assessment on what I can and cannot say and what I can and cannot do. So I just wanted to make sure that the people out there and the people in the audience knew that I met with them, but that they can rest assured that I counseled with Ms. Heine first, and am aware of my role in this particular situation.
I just don't like his technique.
Yeah, and I just have concerns because he's been coming in with counsel, and I just think this is a very tumultuous situation, so I want to be very careful in respect to the city.
Information is important, Mayor.
Mm-hmm, it is, but he will present. Councilmember.
I got one left.
Did you want to?
I was just going to state that I was contacted by him also and chose not to meet with him. I feel that if we're going to meet with him, all of us should hear what he's got to say at the same time. So that's just my feeling.
Okay. The other issue was I got a phone call a week ago Friday from a resident talking about the March 19th HRA meeting. That's my wife's birthday, and I happened to have been out to dinner that night. I did not watch the meeting from home. And it was regarding the transformation loan at 7320 Colfax. And when I heard what I was told had been said, I couldn't imagine what that could really mean until I watched the meeting. And I think it might be my concern about maybe misuse of words, but I'm really dumbfounded about how we could use the fact that there's money in a fund, not knowing how much it is, but that we are going to give somebody not sure how much of this detail I want to use because it's not fair to the residents who want to do the transformation loan, but a considerable amount of money was going to be spent not only on the house but also on rehabbing a house that was built in 1992, which is a 3-bedroom, 2-bath, 1-car garage at the time. And this transformation loan was being given. It's public record, $25,000, the maximum, to make the house even bigger. I didn't see any questions being asked about what the size of that house was going to do to the house next door to the neighbor of the north. I did not hear the answer when the question was asked, how are you going to build a 2nd-car garage? The answer was instead about the base of the building fits on the land, which is only 50 feet wide. But what more concerning to me is where the money came from. Where does that development money come from? A mention was made about 8 or 9 years we had been using TIF, but it was not but we weren't supposed to be doing that under substandard housing, or this house only did not apply because it was not substandard. It was a little bit confusing to understand what was meant. I watched it 11 times. I watched it once again today. It's not the way I want people to go on the city HRA meeting and watch it on a video and see the kind of terminology that was used there about where the money came from. The word slush fund was used. I thought was inappropriate. It wasn't you. I'm not blaming you. The term came out. People were laughing in the background. I didn't think it was a very good way to show how we're running government here. But here's where I'm concerned. Where does the money come for transformation loans? What's the expectation that those people wouldn't have done that work anyway without the money? Because it seemed to me they already started the project a month earlier. Because if they didn't, I don't know how you got that much construction done in a month. Just a lot of things about that whole program. We weren't asking any questions. And so I'm curious about what's going on with transformation loans and where the money comes from.
Sure. Madam Mayor and Councilmember Rogie, let me try to go through the list of questions if you give me a minute to run through them.
Sure.
One question is, how does the transformation home loan program work and who is eligible to receive the money? The program provides a forgivable, no-interest loan for for 15% of the rehab costs for a project with a minimum cost of $50,000. The maximum loan amount is $25,000. There are no income restrictions on this whatsoever, and that's the way that the HRA had intended this to work. Staff's been told on numerous occasions that the HRA is interested in promoting move-up housing, such as the transformation home loan. And so the program specifically does not have income standards. One of the rules is that the improvements for which you're receiving the money you can't have started on yet. And in the case of this project, that's true. They were doing a whole slew of improvements. They were doing more than $50,000 worth of improvements. The portion of the improvements that they were using the transformation home loan for, that $50,000 piece of it, they had not started until they received the approval from the HRA. I verified that. The question, and I did receive the voicemail that you left for City Manager Devich, and I think some of this comes from that. You'd stated that it implies that for the last 8 years, TIF has been used for houses that we're not supposed to be using TIF on. Really, what happened here, the fund in question, the development fund, well, let me back up. The Transformation Home Loan Program has been in place since 1990 or so. For the first 10 or 12 years of the program, the development fund was the funding source for that. When the Housing and Redevelopment Fund was established in 2000, 99 or 2000, and money started to come into that fund, and this stuff gets pretty detailed, and I don't know how much detail you want to the answer, but that money is a portion of tax increment financing from projects around the community that can be pooled. That money can be pooled and used in the community at large. And so this is the pool of TIF from individual projects that can be used for housing projects throughout the community. Once that became a funding source, beginning in 99 or 2000, the HRA made a decision that that was the more appropriate funding source because of its availability to use for the Transformation Home Loan Program. One of the requirements is that a house has to meet certain statutorily defined goals for a redevelopment district. And so we have a consultant that understands those statutorily defined goals. He's also a Richfield resident. And when we have a transformation home, he is hired to go out and view the home, make sure it meets all of the requirements for using TIF money on the home. In this one case, in the last 8 or 10 years, this was the first time a house did not qualify for use of TIF funds. So we came to the HRA on March 19th, and we said, here's the case. There's nothing in the Transformation Home Loan Program itself that says that that it's going to use TIF or that a house needs to be meet TIF standards. The only reason for the program is to encourage these improvements. And the fact that TIF couldn't be used in this case didn't affect that outcome one way or the other. So we gave the HRA the opportunity. We said, you can choose HRA to use the development fund, which was used prior to using TIF, on this one house in this one case. And we will come back in, if this ever happens to you again, we'll always come back on a case-by-case basis on something like this. And the HRA decided to do that. They had asked me about the fund itself, the development fund, and how that's used. And I used the term free money. And when I used the term, I meant it's uncommitted and unrestricted, free in that sense. When I received the voicemail this morning or this afternoon, and I thought, well, what I meant by that was unrestricted and uncommitted, I thought, well, I must be using the word incorrectly. And I popped open my dictionary, and one of the definitions is for free, not taken up with commitments or obligations. So it's unrestricted money. I understand that another interpretation of free is no cost, and it's, I will try to stay away from using the phrase in that way in the future. But the intent, and I believe the HRA understood it because they voted for it. The intent was that it's unrestricted money. The development fund itself, right now the balance is $824,918. The question was, where did that money come from? Approximately $617,000 of that came from cash assets that were in the Richfield redevelopment program that remained after the Richfield rediscovered TIF districts were decertified in 2010. Those funds were deemed non-increment by our legal staff and our finance folks. The remaining $200,000+ came as proceeds from the sale of HRA properties many years ago, probably in excess of 10 years ago. So that's the funds. And we do use those for, projects for which there aren't other funding sources. Oftentimes we use them for the very early stages of a redevelopment project before there are identified sources of permanent financing. So this was all laid before the HRA. I believe the HRA understood all of this, and the HRA voted for it.
Okay, I guess I would say if you don't think, you went to the dictionary today, did you also go to the March 19th meeting on the website?
Yeah, I can read you what I said at the meeting.
And you don't think that the grin and the smile and saying that around the office we call this free money?
I said the term is free money, meaning that it does not have as many attachments. It does not have to meet state law or federal law for this or that. It's something that's used for this kind of situation, typically where the normal funding sources just don't work. And it's also used in the very early stages of redevelopment projects before a more permanent funding source is identified. I said then the exact same thing I'm telling you now.
Okay, so you're saying you did not say around the office we call this free money?
Yes, I said.
Okay.
Around the office, the term
It's
that
on
we
the
use for
internet.
this.
Anybody can look at it. My point is your demeanor when you did it. That's the problem I'm having with what was said. Okay, I thought it was inappropriate, and that's my point. Is
Well,
it?
I do not agree. I use
Okay.
the term to
Well,
mean
we're
unrestricted
gonna agree
money,
to
and I
disagree.
continue to use it that way. If the council doesn't want me to use the term free money, which I can understand, looking at all kinds of connotations, I won't. But it is unrestricted money
Okay.
and uncommitted money.
My next concern is if that's how transformation money gets used for somebody who's spending that kind of money on a redevelopment of a house that already was a newer house in Richfield, 3-bedroom, 2-bath. I think that's what we told Parsley Builders when they wanted to build less than that. We said, no, we don't want any houses less than 3-bedroom, 2-bath, 2-car garage. So I don't understand, what's the limit? If somebody wants to just take a 5-bedroom house and make it into a 7 and add a couple of family rooms on their house, then we give them money for free for 30 years, no interest, no payback?
Can I just interrupt, Madam Mayor, council members? Let's put this into a different perspective and venue. This is an HRA item. This is an HRA topic. The authority for putting out transformation loans does not come out of the City Council. It comes out of the Housing Redevelopment Authority. Council member, that would be the appropriate venue to talk this over. I believe all the HRA members should be present to talk about this particular process. The transformation loan that's on the books right now does not have limitations about how large of a project it's going to be used for. And I can tell you that looking back, the goal of a lot of these projects, Richfield Rediscovered and the Transformation Loan Program, was to say, we need to take the kinds of buildings, the kinds of smaller homes we have in Richfield, and make those homes competitive with what people are building in the outer suburbs. And that's make bigger homes, more bathrooms, more bedrooms, all of those kinds of things. And so those programs are put in place. Now, if the HRA wants to revisit the Transformation Loan Program and take a look at that and direct staff to come back and say, look, I want to see, HRA board, want to see staff come back and say, we need to have some sort of parameter to say that if a project exceeds X value or X size, that transformation loan funds should not be used for that, or that there be some special approval for that. That could well be done. But again, the venue for that is talking about it with the Housing Redevelopment Authority, and we are only operating under the guidelines and restrictions of the programs that are in place with the Housing Redevelopment Authority.
I understand that. You aren't saying anything I don't know. The problem is I'm getting to the point of the fact that TIF was used in cases. Okay, it's coming from different things. It's coming from properties that are bought. It's taxpayer money. That's my point.
Yeah, and the taxpayer money was always used in appropriateness with the programs that were in place. The entire Richfield Rediscovered program that was put together in the early 1990s was a property-by-property TIF project program, a very successful one, and one that's been copied by many cities in the metro area. It's been a good program. Transformation Loan has too. Again, this is a great discussion for the City Council to bring to the Housing Redevelopment Authority and talk about it. And if the Housing Redevelopment Authority wants to change that, then they should take a look at doing it.
Well, somebody has to take a look at it, because if this stuff happens, a couple of months ago, I believe, there was a TIF project, a transformation loan that's supposed to be paid back if you don't wait 30 years, and that didn't happen. I think it was 22 years or 24 years, just a little while ago, where you relieved them of their obligation. So it's just, there seems to be...
That's correct. But,
right.
You know, as long as you brought that up, council member, let's think about the reason that was put into place. The reason that there was a 30-year payback is back in the day, what the Housing Redevelopment Authority didn't want to happen was would be for people to come in and get that money to help upgrade the property. I mean, that was one goal of it. And then to turn around a few years later, sell it, walk off with the profit. And the whole concept was, look, we do want you to upgrade these homes, which is good for the entire community, because the homes eventually will turn over, and hopefully it'll be a home that would attract younger families to come back in the community and have the kind of amenities. But if you make the commitment to live in that home and stay and be a part of the community, that was the whole idea of writing off that loan. I will tell you that there are other programs in other cities that have similar kind of incentives where the money is just given and never asked to be repaid. So the 30 years was something that was put in place back then. Again, it was the target, and the whole idea was we want people to make these improvements and then stay in our community, live in our community, you know.
Right. I think it comes down to what the government should have to do for people who, I don't think that house would not have been developed without the money. That's my premise.
I understand that.
Okay, and that's what my concern is.
I understand that.
Those people that get transformation loans, we don't put a lien on the house and say, you know what, at least give us back the money we gave you. You had it for 30 years for interest-free. You're the one that benefited by everything you did to that house over the 30 years. Give us the money back when you sell your house. We don't do that. We just give taxpayers money one way or another. It came from the taxpayers or the business owners one way or another. We give it away to people who, in many instances, probably didn't need it. But if it's there, I'm going to take it. And that's the troubling part of that phone call I got and then looking into this and where it went.
I understand. One last thing, when people make those kind of improvements, they end up paying property taxes on that extra amount that they put into their home. So the city gets that back. The city gets taxes back, you know, for the kind of investment people put in their programs, in their homes. And a program like that has, actually, when I started on my dissertation, I didn't finish it, but when I started my dissertation at Hamlin, that's exactly what I looked at, the impact of those kinds of programs that Richfield initiated and what it does to neighborhoods. And I looked at, we have a pin chart. You should take a look, council members take a look at sometime, where we did projects. Richfield Rediscovered is what this primarily was, and you see the kind of development that kind of fans out around it by people seeing the reinvestment back in one particular home. It helps the entire tax base. But I understand exactly what you're saying, council member.
I've had 4 houses in Richfield, and I've completely redeveloped all 4 of them before I left them.
Yeah.
And I never came looking for somebody else to give me free money. That's the point.
I understand your
And I think
point.
a lot of people in Richfield live their lives that way. And that's why this needs to be a debate, not just at the HRA. It needs to be a city council debate. It needs to be, maybe that's why the HRA should be all the city council members. We have 2 different factions going. I think I've said enough.
Councilmember Sandal?
Thank you. I just want to bring it to the residents' attention one more time, and that is that we have our city open house for the new municipal building, still scheduled. I think it's still 9 to 1. It will be here in City Hall. It will be a great event. Please come and tour your new City Hall. Admire everything that's going on. We are certainly pleased with it up here. It's been a decided improvement. And I know staff feels the same way, and I think you ought to take a look at what your tax dollars are paying for.
June 2nd. Yes. Councilmember Fitzhenry.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. On behalf of the Yellow Ribbon, I wanted to thank all our soldiers that came back, and I'd like to ask Jim Topitzofer to come up and talk about what they're going to be doing at the All Veterans Memorial on Memorial Day.
Jim Topitzofer, I'm the Parks and Recreation Director here, and I belong to the Honoring All Veterans Memorial Group, and we are planning a couple of activities that will take place on May 28th. That's a Monday, Memorial Day. The group is planning a ceremony, much like they've always planned, where we have entertainment, we have a program. We usually attract well over 1,000 people. It's a great time just to remember the contributions of our veterans. Before that, Village Shores is sponsoring a barbecue lunch that they're offering to the community, and the proceeds on that lunch will support the monument as well, and that's at Village Shores.
Question. Do you have times, Jim?
Oh, I'm sorry. The ceremony starts at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, and the lunch starts at 11:30, and that's kind of an open lunch. You can come anytime between 11:30 and I think 1.
That'd be great.
Thank you.
Do we know how many names are adding this year, or this time, unveiling how many names this time?
Oh, yes. We're completing the 5th tablet, and there are 24 additional names that are going on that will be displayed, which will complete that. And we're also taking names on the 6 tablet as well. We won't be installing that until, the remainder of the project's done this summer.
Thank you.
Wonderful. Well, look forward to seeing that at the end of the year. Exciting. It's great. One of the things I just wanted to remind people, I was out at the farmer's market, and it was wonderful to see so many folks come out to the farmer's market. It's open, and there's going to be some new vendors. Some of you may be disappointed, I was too, to find out that our person who is providing crepes is not going to be there. However, I heard some other news. We're going to have somebody making tacos, and I also heard that we're going to have a food truck there. And so we have music as well in the park, and the art center's open. So it was a nice day. There's also an expansion going on for the refreshments. Over there, we have a partnership with the owner of the mini golf, and they'll be finishing that up this summer too. So come out and get some treats over there as well. So that's really exciting. Do you have anything to add to the farmers market piece there?
Yeah, you had mentioned the improvements from our mini golf vendor. They're nearly complete. I think all that's left to do is the grass seed has to grow, but there's flowers that will be planted in the planters. Otherwise, all the improvements are done. There's outdoor seating. They've serving their new menu. There's like a nice patio area around the art center. It looks very nice. It's
we should get their menu up online when they have it. But I know that they're going to have espresso and cappuccino, and I see a lot of people come with that to the farmers market. So you can get it right there now.
Our city manager had just yesterday taped a out and about of the improvements there. So that'll be posted.
You know, and it's an early year this year, so I expect to see some of the food come in early this year. That'll be exciting. I bet strawberries are early this year. We have, of course, the regular vendors there too, the Eichton's cheese and the honey and the bread, and many of the other vendors. We have a new organic meat person from last year to this year. Very, very nice. So that's very nice. And I didn't make it in time to get eggs from Eichton's. Doggone it, they sell out fast. Eichton's is selling eggs, and they're just like hotcakes right now. So get down there early if you want fresh eggs. So, the other thing that I had received an email from the group at Penn at I guess they call them the Penn Central. And this is called Avenues of Opportunity Open House, and this is Explore the Dream of Starting Your Own Business. This is Saturday, May 19th from 9 to noon. And this is actually looking at, it's a grassroots initiative from the Penn Central folks and the Neighborhood Association trying to promote small entrepreneurial. So if you thought about a small business idea, if you just wanted to get some ideas about it, there's going to be a open house at the First National Bank of the Lakes at 6613 Penn Avenue. I'm going to put this on the overhead, so somebody's going to have to help me with that so you guys can see this. I think this is a great opportunity, and I'm really glad to see the First National Bank of the Lakes, and that's right on 66 and Penn, too. Looking at this, there's a lot of storefronts down around that area that are open, and so they're looking to find out if businesses want to expand, if there's somebody who wants to try a new business, and what kinds of resources there are around to help that happen. So I think it'd be very worthwhile if anybody's thinking of trying to open up a business, be it now or later on, that they would go to this venue on Saturday the 19th from 9 to noon. So, appreciate that. So, thank you. Also, on May 21st, the City Council HRA Planning Commission work session will be at 6 p.m. regarding rental housing inventory and needs assessment. We just got a report back from our consultants at Stanek regarding this, and I know that we had a lot of feedback to Stanek about what we really needed to see and how we needed some information portrayed maybe differently and some nuances of that report. So I'm really hoping to have some further discussion regarding that. So I thought we had a really good base to start from.
Mayor?
Please.
On that, I know we talked about it. Will we get some information on how many single-family homes are being rented in Richfield and how many bedrooms, that type of thing? Because they said that last meeting we had that they never got involved in that. I think he said because we don't list how many bedrooms these houses have. Don't we know that already? Because the house is supposed to have 3 bedrooms. It's got 3 bedrooms.
Well, there was a question here. There are hundreds of single-family rental properties, so shouldn't there be more 3-bedroom properties? data will be added to acknowledge the number of three-bedroom, single-family rentals. Is that part of, that's part of what you wanted to address?
Or if they're two-bedroom or four-bedroom or five. I mean, if they're
Yeah.
rental, don't we know how many legally they're supposed to be there, bedrooms-wise? Because the house,
It's inspected.
I don't know what the right terminology is, but it's been inspected or appraised or whatever.
Madam Mayor and council members, the rental licensing application doesn't ask the number of the bedrooms currently. We can change that in the future. To whatever extent the data will support us being able to do this, we will. But that might be something that really has to be addressed in the future with a change in the application form.
We do that every year, right, once a year?
Right.
That, I think that would be good, because we have issues of over occupancy. We need to know, I think by that new ordinance we gave staff, you have to know how many bedrooms plus one extra room, right?
Yeah.
I can live there, adults?
That's through environmental health.
That's
so I'm
our,
not sure.
that's our ordinance from the,
Yeah, it
that
would
we
be nice
changed
to
a
know
couple years ago.
That's a good suggestion to put that on there. Then we have then we will have our own inventory of how many bedrooms, and that, you're right, that would be a lot easier for us to go back and take a look at what is the occupancy.
Yes.
Okay. There's a lot of other specific questions, a couple of pages worth, many of which Stantec will be addressing in this follow-up. So hopefully we'll get a lot of the information that we weren't able to get the first time available this time.
That's great. Excellent. Looking forward to it. At this time, I'd ask for a council approval of the agenda with the removal of item 5C.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion? All those in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Oppose? Motion carries. The consent calendar?
Thank you, Madam Mayor, members of the council. For those at home, those in the audience, the consent calendar contains several separate items which are acted on by the City Council in one motion. Once a consent calendar has been approved, the individual items and the recommended actions have also been approved, and no further action on those items would be necessary. Tonight we've got about 6 items on the consent calendar, starting off with item A, consideration of approval of resolution authorizing the Department of Public Safety to accept donated monies from the Richfield Bloomington Credit Union and Richfield Visions. Item B is consideration of approval of setting a public hearing to be held on June 12, 2012 for the consideration of a new on-sale intoxicating and Sunday liquor license for Pizza Luce 7 Incorporated at 800 West 66th Street, and that's the former Bridgman site. Item D is consideration of approval of a resolution authorizing the City of Richfield's 2012-2015 municipal recycling grant application and agreement with Hennepin County. Item E is consideration of approval of bid minutes and tabulation and award of contract for the 2012 seal coating work to Pearson Brothers Incorporated in the sum of $564,958. Item F is consideration of approval of a 12-month extension to the 2011 concrete sidewalk, curb, and gutter repair contract with Ron Casa Construction Incorporated in the sum of $98,850. And finally, item G, consideration of approval of a resolution authorizing the Source Water Protection Grant Agreement between the City of Richfield and the Minnesota Department of Health, and that's for surveillance on some of our well houses. And that concludes tonight's consent calendar.
I'll move the consent calendar.
Second.
Discussion? All those in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Considering such a long agenda, I didn't make any assignments. But just wait when we get a long one. I'm giving them all out to you guys.
There we go.
So I take the items. This is consideration of a resolution supporting the submittal of applications to the Minnesota Department of Employment and Economic Development, DEED, and the Metropolitan Council Livable Communities Tax-Based Revitalization Account for contamination cleanup grant funds at the former Lindell Garden Center site, 6400 Lindell Avenue. The Lindell Garden Center property consists of approximately 9 acres of land currently zoned for commercial use. The property is vacant and has been since Lindell Garden Center ceased operations in 2005. The property has been developed since prior to the 1950s for commercial and residential use. Prior to the property being developed for commercial retail use, a portion of the property was used as an illegal dump. Areas primarily along the western side of the property were low-lying wetland areas and have been filled in with soil and debris, including concrete building materials, railroad ties, and other things. The property is also currently occupied by one building that is roughly 42,500 square feet, including approximately 2,500 square feet of greenhouse space. The building is in a significant state of deterioration on both the exterior and interior. In November 2011, the Cornerstone Group purchased the property. The Cornerstone Group hired Landmark Environmental LLC to conduct the Phase 1 and Phase 2 environmental site assessment to evaluate the potential and existence of subsurface contamination and hazardous building materials that resulted from previous land use activities. The reports indicate the existence of subsurface soil contaminants on the property and asbestos materials in the former garden and center building. To assist with financial aspect of the cleanup of the property, DEED and the Metropolitan Council offer grant programs for contaminated remediation. Both grant programs require resolutions indicating the City Council's support of the application. The DEED grant also requires a local match of 25% of the cost, which the Cornerstone Group has pledged. Staff is recommending the City approve both resolutions supporting the grant application. So I'll make a motion. Adopt the attached resolution supporting the submittal of applications to the Minnesota Department of Employment and Economic Development DEED and the Metropolitan Council Livable Communities Tax Base Revitalization Account for contaminated cleanup grant funding at the former Lindell Garden Center site, 6400 Lindell Avenue.
Second.
Please.
Not Lindell Garden?
That's correct.
So are we responsible for anything they find? Or is the owner of the land responsible?
Cornerstone Group is responsible for the cleanup. The grants just come through the city, and
we're just a conduit for the grant, right?
Right.
There's no financial obligation for us.
Correct.
Okay, thanks.
You know, I worked on this very legislation years ago in Brownfields in my early days. So it's nice to see that it comes back around home when you work on something like this.
Any idea where we're at money-wise? What this will cost?
The estimated cleanup of what was found in the Phase 1 and Phase 2 is approximately $200,000.
$200,000. Okay,
not too bad actually. All those in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. The next item is a consideration of award of a contract for 76th Street East Public Improvement Project and authorization for the city manager to approve changes in the construction contract up to $50,000. In 2007 and 2008, the city, in cooperation with the Met Council, completed a streetscape design for the streets that will be reconstructed. Main elements of the streetscape design include, say that fast twice, 2-lane roadway, currently 4-lane, 8-foot blacktop multi-use trail on north side, 5-foot on-street bicycle lanes, 5.5-foot concrete sidewalk on the south side. And in 76th Street, east of 12th Avenue, 76th Street from 12th Avenue to Cedar Avenue was deteriorated to the point of reconstruction. Staff has been communicating with impacted residents on the construction details and the general project information. The new cross-section will match the section west of 12th Avenue and will incorporate design elements and better reflect the values of the community and provide recreational alternative transportation. The biggest changes for the residents adjacent to the project are the addition of multi-use trail on the north side, the reduction of traffic lanes, and the addition of sidewalks on the south side. Parking is also prohibited on trails and sidewalks, and a 2-foot safety buffer must be maintained on the Three Rivers Park Trail. Residents with driveways crossing these features will have to keep those areas clear to avoid citations. Public coordination and communications. Since the initial public meeting in 2011, staff has held multiple meetings with residents living along 76th Street to obtain trespass and waivers so the necessary restoration work may be done, and the property as part of the project. At these meetings, one-on-one discussions have occurred regarding the impact on the project on property. So at this time, I'll make a motion first to accept the bid minutes, tabulation, and award contract to Redstone Construction Company, Inc. in the amount of $1,562,501.92 for the 76th Street East Public Improvement Project.
Second.
Number 2,
Oh,
I have
for-
2 parts, sorry.
okay.
Authorize the I'll let you do it again now.
Okay.
Authorize the city manager to approve contract changes totaling up to $50,000 without further city council authorization.
Now I'll second it.
Second. Just, can I ask, how has the feedback been from the residents that you've talked to so far on the reconstruction of that part?
Oh, on this particular section, there's been a significant discussion about the condition of the road itself. Every spring, it's in really tough shape. The concrete's breaking apart. It's probably, even though it's the lowest travel portion of 76th Street, maybe the worst condition. I don't know why that was, but it's in pretty tough shape.
Okay. All right. Other question?
Is that still right-of-way to the city, or is that people have to not even park in their own 2 feet of their property?
I'm sorry, the 2 feet.
What paragraph was
The
that?
crosswalk you're talking about.
Yeah, that they have to be at least 2 feet away from the trail.
Right.
It doesn't say whether that's city property or their property.
In this case, I believe that's, I think it's only like a foot of city property, and then there's another foot that's not. But you know what? I'd like to get back to you with that, maybe in a memo or something, just to be sure.
Can we force the resident they can't park in their own driveway if it's not right away?
That's what that's what that says. You know what? I really don't. I'm not. I really have to verify the distance between the edge of that, the trail and the right-of-way line, and I don't have that dimension.
It's the same thing they've got on the west side.
Yeah.
From Xerxes to Penn.
But it could be property that the homeowner doesn't own, it's just using. But I'm saying, what if it's property the homeowner owns? And you're saying, get your car farther up in the driveway? Well, I can't, there's a garage door there. Right?
You know, unfortunately, I don't have the cross-section in front of me, and I'll be happy to get back to you.
Okay.
Because it says they're going to get in bad trouble there.
Yeah.
I can see that. Wait a minute, that's
Why
my
we have
driveway. You
hearing
can't tell me I
examiners.
can't park in my driveway.
Councilmember Sand.
Just a question. We heard the presentation earlier this evening in the study session about part of that trail development. Is Three Rivers going to be doing the same amenities and at their expense that they did going further west?
Yes.
So it'll match what's there now?
That's right.
Yeah.
This is part of their trail.
Okay. Thank you.
They've been really good to us.
It's a beautiful trail.
It is. It's wonderful.
And mine's only half done.
Yeah. All those in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries. I believe we have the city manager's report.
Madam Mayor, members of the council, I really don't have anything to report.
Okay, claims and payroll.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Seeing no further action, I call this meeting adjourned. It was not as short as the other one.
Yeah, I know.
Hey, John, you got a minute? Just a second. Will you pick up? So.